it's the reality in which we live that people are busy and they don't want to say no to commitments. Um, and so this chapter seeks to balance out how to work diligently, work hard, and yet be refreshed. The chapter two after it, Sabbaths and sabbaticals, kind of follows up on this idea. But we've seen a problem in our churches, and I think in other denominations, it's the same problem, um, of men being called to these wonderful tasks, and yet ending up on empty in an empty situation. The tank is emptied out, and they have nothing left to give, and then they become unuseful in the church. And sometimes in the minister can be detrimental to the Church of Christ. Um, and so I think a number of our pastors have gone through this, have struggled with this, and the goal then is to try to avoid it by taking care of yourself, taking proper Sabbaths, and um, yeah, and working within the time frame God gives us with with all the callings we have. I mean, as a pastor, I'm a husband, father. I have these other tasks and responsibilities, um, and balancing life is part of the goal of good leadership as well, um, because it's an example then to the congregation of priorities and things like this. So I think it's a wonderful chapter by Andrea Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's one of our missionaries in Italy, a native Italian. Um,
Hmm.
so he brings a little bit of a different perspective with that as well.
With a name like that, you can't go wrong.
I think one of the this chapter is also, I think, a testimony to just the wonderful elders and deacons that serve in our churches. I mean, the fact that burnout is not desirable. We're trying to avoid that, as Steve said. But the fact that we have men who are, putting themselves in that position in addition to the families that they serve, the jobs that they have, their other expectations. We have just amazing men in our churches, and you guys do as well. Just servants, but we don't always know how to, as Steve was mentioning, steward our energies so that we have something to give out of. And we've all probably heard sort of groans when a man gets nominated to office, or like, 3 more years or 4 more years, or finally I'm finished. And
Right.
and yeah, it's there's a lighthearted aspect to that, but it's also serious. I mean, this is a really big, heavy duty calling that guys are called to, and we want them to come out of service not worse off than they were when they went into it. And so Andrea gives some really helpful suggestions. Not just, I mean, there's some practical tips, but also just sort of the spirituality of service, and doing it in a way that we're drawing strength from Christ rather than simply spending and spending.